today we're going to be lying on our back. So I'd love to invite you to try this technique, lying on your back, really helpful. We're going to ease into our shoulders and we're going to work with our diaphragm and our abdominal muscles as well, all linked, and I'll explain a bit more at the end of the session for those who'd like a little bit more information. If you've got an eye pillow or a book, that would be really helpful if you're happy to use it. And you'll see this is quite a reasonably light sort of paperback, nothing too heavy. We're going to place that hopefully on our upper abdomen area at some point through our session today. As always, making sure you have support under your head. So if you have POTS or you've been suffering from heart palpitations, any of the long COVID symptoms where it would be helpful to have a slight angle, your head slightly higher than your heart, perhaps even level with your heart, just making sure you've got the support you need there. Maybe you're practicing in bed and knowing that's really welcome too. We're going to find our feet flat on the floor and our knees bent, but if you know, I'm just going to get a blanket. If you are lying in bed or you prefer to be lying flat, having something under the knees is going to help support the lower back. So having a little bit of support there, if you're extending your legs out, just having a prop there if possible. It could be a pillow, it could be a rolled blanket. So beginning to find your lying down position. Taking your time slowly to place your feet flat on the floor if you're coming to semi-supine. And you may even like to take a moment to find out where you feel happiest. So it might be that your feet are further away from your hips. It might be you prefer to have your feet closer to your hips. Take a moment to see what feels good. Often we just place our feet down and don't give it much thought. So just take that moment there, and it's different every day. So making sure you feel comfortable where you are. And a sense of the center of the back of your head in contact with the floor or the props you're using, and hands resting wherever feels comfortable for you. You're making sure if you're going to use a book or eye pillow at some point, that's at a reachable distance, so you don't have to move too far. As we do each week, you might like to release through your jaws. So that could look like opening your mouth quite wide, even sticking your tongue out. It might simply be rolling your tongue around the inside of your mouth, pushing into one cheek, and then the other cheek, and pushing in and underneath the upper and lower lip. So beginning to release the lower facial muscles. Taking your time to gently seal your lips. And beginning to breathe in and out through your nostrils. And if at any point you need to pause through this session today, pausing, taking a break, coming back to it if you feel able. If for any reason there's a feeling that an uncomfortable feeling or a restriction in any way, pausing. The aim not to power through, the aim to support yourself where you're at in that moment. You might like to soften your gaze or close your eyes. We're going to begin today with a little bit of movement through the shoulders. So we're going to aim for 4 to 6 rounds of each movement, but also knowing that maybe one is enough for you. So if you are doing the Rest, Repair, Recover classes with Susie and Ross, mindful where you are on a level 0 to 3. So doing as much or as little as you feel able to today. So begin to softly and gently push your right shoulder into the surface you're lying on. So it's almost as if we're trying to drop our right shoulder, pushing into the surface, and then gently letting go. Taking a few more rounds, no more than 6. It might even feel as if your right shoulder blade is trying to reach or meet your left shoulder blade. Always checking in with your breathing, just making sure that you are still breathing. Sometimes as we begin to concentrate on something new, we hold our breath. So making sure your breath is still flowing. And when you've taken some movements on the right shoulder, we'll begin to transfer that movement to the left shoulder. So left shoulder dropping down onto the surface you're lying on. So it's a conscious movement, pushing your left shoulder, the back of your left shoulder into the surface, and then gently releasing. No more than 6 rounds. And then as you finish, taking a few breaths in stillness. Next movement we're going to take is lifting our shoulder. So the right shoulder to begin with. We'll lift it's the spawn and socket area. So this top area of the shoulder, lifting it up as if it was trying to pass something over to your left shoulder, and then gently allowing it to drop back down. So lifting up as if it was passing something towards your left shoulder, and then gently lifting it down or letting it down. Once again, no more than 4 to 6 rounds. 1 might be enough. Checking in with your breathing, breath still softly flowing, pausing if needed. And then in your own time, beginning to take that movement to the left shoulder. So left shoulder rising up as if it's trying to pass something towards your right shoulder. And then releasing. And eventually coming to stillness. And taking a couple of soft, gentle nasal breaths in rest. You might find that your shoulders are beginning to soften, to relax a little more. And we're going to begin to slowly tuck our chins. If that feels okay for you, tucking your chin towards your chest. Could just be a little bit, maybe it's a lot. And in your own time, turning your head, your gaze towards the right-hand side. Again, being mindful of your head and neck. So this sensation of perhaps a little bit of a stretch, a different movement. Nothing should be painful or straining. When you're ready, very slowly bringing your head back to center, still keeping the tuck of your chin and rolling your head towards your left-hand side. Only going as far as feels comfortable for you. Gently bringing your head back to center, untucking your chin if you haven't already, and taking a moment in stillness. If you'd like to, we're going to repeat that movement in a slightly different way. So this time the chin is moving up towards the sky. So it's a lift of your chin and then turning your head gently towards the right hand side. So we're taking some head and shoulder stretches with the support of the surface we are lying on. And in your own time, beginning to find your way back to center, keeping the lift of the chin towards the sky and turning your head towards the left-hand side. And then when you're ready, head coming back to center. And finding that sense of balance once again, so the center of the back of your head resting on the surface you're lying on. One last movement before we begin to focus on consciously breathing. So I'd like to invite you to imagine your nose, the tip of your nose as a pencil, and you're drawing a horizontal figure of 8, so the number 8, but lying on its side, very slowly, very gently. It's almost like you're doodling with your nose. At any point you get dizzy, it just doesn't feel right, coming back to stillness. Perhaps it's possible to change direction as well. In your own time, coming back to center, coming back to rest. You may be wondering why all this focus around the head, the neck, the shoulders. So if our upper respiratory muscles take over from our diaphragm, if we've been mouth breathing, shallow breathing, and the muscles in the neck, shoulders, the upper back can get tight as they begin to quite literally encourage our ribcage to expand and do more of the work. This can definitely happen more overnight when we're unconsciously breathing. So often we don't realize we're shallow breathing or mouth breathing overnight. So easing into these muscles, freeing them up so we can then focus on our diaphragm. So beginning to find the prop you might be using, so whether that's an eye pillow or a book. Don't worry if you don't have anything, you can always rest your hands there. And we're going to place it above the belly button, above the navel, at the base of the rib cage. So that little kind of dip there. I can feel the base of my sternum here, my ribs kind of curl around. So it's just at the base of my rib cage, but above my navel, my belly button. Finding out a happy place for your hands, your arms to rest. Encouraging your jaw to be soft. And as you breathe in through your nose, feeling in to the weight you have, the prop you're using, rising up. So focusing on your inhalation to begin with, it's almost like a weightlifting exercise for our diaphragm. And then maybe you can feel into, as you inhale, your rib cage expanding out at the sides of your body. So we're breathing in to lift our prop. But as we breathe in, our rib cage is expanding out at the sides of our body. So focusing very much on the inhalation here at the moment. If you'd like to experiment a little, maybe you begin to forget about the ribs, forget about the rib cage expanding as you breathe in, lifting your prop and feeling your belly expand and noticing the difference here. So as we breathe in, lifting the prop and our belly rising here. Noticing how that feels different. So what we want to encourage is coming back to our rib cage. Our breath is allowing the prop to rise with the inhalation, but our rib cage is expanding outwards at the same time. So you'll notice as you focus on that, that your lower belly area doesn't rise quite as much. Breathing in, prop rising, rib cage expanding. Encouraging the rest of your physical body to be as soft, as relaxed as it possibly can be. Main focus here as we breathe in is lifting the prop and the expansion of the rib cage outwards. So you'll notice your belly is rising, but your rib cage is expanding. And we know the diaphragm is a muscle that helps us with our breathing. It's attached to our ribs. So as we breathe in, this muscle is gently moving down, pushing on the abdominal muscles, expanding the abdomen area. But also our rib cage is expanding with it. Sign of a strong diaphragmatic breath. Welcome to work with this for a little longer. An invitation here to add in one extra step. So as you breathe in, we're still encouraging the prop to rise, the rib cage to move out. And as we gently and softly breathe out, still through our nose, There's a drawing in of our transverse abdominal muscles. Now, these are the muscles that almost run between our two frontal hip bones. If you had a line from one hip bone to the other, that was where they would be. One of the easiest ways to describe it is imagining that you are trying to zip up a very tight pair of trousers. So breathing in, prop is rising, ribcage expanding. Breathing out, noticing the ribcage contracting, softening, and then this drawing in of the transverse abdominal muscles. Imagining you're trying to get into a tight pair of jeans. Breathing in, the expansion of the ribs, the lift of your prop, and breathing out, conscious zipping up of your trousers. Can be strong, can be deep work, so you might like to take 2 to 4 rounds. Welcome to continue if it feels okay for you. If you're resting, breathing in and out through your nose softly and gently. If you're still practicing with using the abdominals, the transverse abdominals, taking 2 to 4 more rounds. And when you're ready, allowing your body to soften, letting go of any of the conscious breath work you've been practicing, and inviting a soft inhalation in and out through your nostrils. So if we're not using our diaphragm well, efficiently to breathe, then actually our abdominal muscles begin to get weak. It's almost as if we put them on mute. And that's when the muscles around the neck, the shoulders, the back of the body, the trapezius muscles take over. It might be helpful to imagine as you breathe in, so diaphragm's moving down. It's almost like an inflating balloon. So if you imagine you had a balloon that was inflating inside you, just for a moment, that's helping stabilize your ribcage, but also your spine. It's offering stability to your spine, stability to your core. And we know the diaphragm, this breathing muscle, is also connected to abdominal muscles through connective tissue. It's all interrelated. If we're breathing well, we're breathing efficiently, we're supporting a strong core, and in turn, therefore, a good posture, but also having the strength to sit to sit for longer periods of time. If you still have your prop on your abdomen area, you might like to gently remove that. If your eyes are closed, you may even like to bring some warmth to your hands. And placing your warm palms over your closed eyes, opening your eyes and gently releasing your hands when you are ready. You're welcome to stay exactly where you are. Perhaps you very slowly find your way up to a seated position.